this. You know, as you were singing that, I couldn't help but think to myself, the intention for this month is to I live as love, but it's really not something to do as much as it's something to be. I live as love. Yes, it does involve then making choices, but it has to start from an understanding of who am I. Because everything starts from the understanding of who am I. Everything you do in life starts from your understanding of who you are. Every choice you make, every decision you make, every activity you get involved in, every relationship you choose to surround yourself with, all comes from the most important thing you will ever do, which is know who you are. The very first lyric in this song is, "As life has unfolded me." As life has unfolded me. How many of you have been unfolded by life? Actually, every single one of you. Life has unfolded each and every one of us. What a provocative beginning to a song. As life has unfolded me. That's just every single person gets to say, everything that's happened up to this point has been life unfolding me based on what I have given it to unfold with. And yet, in the middle of teaching Thomas Troward, I'm here to tell you that life itself is unfolding perfectly. You know, when I say my life is unfolding perfectly, sometimes the way my life unfolds, not so perfect. Kind of annoying at times. Anybody else have any annoying things unfolding? Thank you, Lindy. Lindy's like, right? So, but life itself is unfolding perfectly. There is a I know who I am that allows me to continue my life and make every decision based on my understanding that life is unfolding perfectly. Now, why do I know that? Well, scientifically speaking, life is nothing more than creative energy. And there is an evolution of life that continues to move forward at all times, with you or without you. You can get with the program, or you can just keep fighting it. And I think we spend most of our lives fighting it. Fighting it because we know how our lives are supposed to unfold. I know how this is supposed to go, and it's this way. Any other way, not good for me. And sometimes life is saying, and yet over here is richer, fuller, better. But we're like, but I'm only over here, and this is what I know from my life. How many of you have ever had something happen in your life that in the moment feels awful, and then years later you go, oh my God, thank God that happened. Thank God I didn't marry him. Or her, whatever type of marriage you're into, right? I mean, that's just the way life is. So it really behooves you and me to really get with the program that life is unfolding perfectly, because that is what life does. Thomas Troward talks about the 5 kingdoms, the 5 stages, the 5 kingdoms. And he talks about the idea that, yes, mineral, plant, animal, human, divine. But that's not what he's saying. He's not saying we all started out in the slush, and then we turned into plants, and then those plants turned into animals, and then those animals turned into human animals, and then suddenly God. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that the evolution of life takes that smallest common denominator and continues to expand it to more and more and more. And that's who we are. That's who I am. I am the evolution of life. I'm not just living the evolution of life. I am the evolution of life, and constantly life is moving me to more and more and more. In fact, Ernest Holmes said, the evolution, in a very small font apparently, the evolution of my eyes, let's talk about that. Actually, I had an eye doctor this week say, you know, you'll have almost 20/20 vision, which is great. It's just small vision, apparently. The evolution of man's consciousness brings with it the acquisition of new powers and higher possibilities. Your mind, your consciousness, your life is consistently moving forward with you getting in touch with and flowing with this idea of a higher understanding of who you are and more power. He then goes on to say, evolution is the eternal unfoldment of the more yet to be. Evolution is the internal unfoldment of the more yet to be. So there is something in you that is evolving perfectly, whether you know it or not. And it can't go anywhere but to the highest next level, which is what Troward's talking about when he says mineral, animal, plant, human. But the last stage, his fifth stage, is not divine. It's the human mind understanding that it is God. It's cosmic consciousness. It's when your consciousness moves to a higher level of knowing itself at a higher level of being, beingness. So yes, life is unfolding you, but are you flowing with life? Are you allowing life to unfold you to your highest and your best? Are you, as Mariana so beautifully said, are you allowing your life to do what it does, see what you need to see, learn what you need to learn, and move on? I was going to say move the hell on. And move the hell on. Move all the hell in your life on. Are you willing to do that? Because then what you have to do is realize you're always at choice. Life is unfolding me perfectly. But I am at choice. I can decide to go with the flow, or I can put up the biggest dam possible to hold my good back. I can decide that there's a better way. I can decide that whatever this is, I don't like. I can start reacting. You have two choices. We talk about love and fear. I think Marianne Williamson talks about that. There's love and there's fear. Well, I would like to say this. I think that there is love and confusion. There is love, and then there's some confusion that tells us we aren't love. And then you can have fear or stress or any of those negative things that we introduce into our lives, or as Raymond Charles Barker says, when we introduce unintelligent factors into an intelligent universe. How many of you have done that? Unintelligent factors such as fear or lack or doubt or uncertainty or any of it, or reacting to things. Reacting to things from a place of this shouldn't have happened. How many times have you ever heard yourself say, that should not have happened like that? This should not have happened. Or better, this should not have happened to me. To everyone else, I can see why it happens. But to me, I'm so good. I do everything right. How could this happen to me? Well, somewhere along the line, apparently I chose something that brought it, because I am equal to every single condition that shows up in my life. Every condition. There aren't certain conditions that show up and I get to say, actually, he's responsible for that one. It doesn't work that way as much as I would like it to. And I would love to be able to stand here and say to you, some of the things that happened in your life that you don't like are not your fault. I can't say that. I have to say, it's all your fault. It's all of your responsibility. It's your ability to create responsibility, your ability to create a response that brings to you that which you want to live. So you've got two choices. You can live as love, or you can be confused. You can be confused and not know who you are. You can be confused and think you are one of those kingdoms down there and that you're not God. Greatness on demand. Because you are. Your greatness on demand. And the on-demand part is you demanding your mind to stay in that highest kingdom, as Troward says it. The cosmic consciousness of the universe. That's the paradigm we're living in now. That's what, regardless of what you're seeing on the news, that is really what's emerging. I think part of what's emerging, all of this violence in the world, is because there is a reaction to what is really emerging. And that is a world where everyone not only knows who they are, but they know who their neighbor is. And there will be no keeping anyone out of any borders. That is impossible to do. You can stand in, I'm going to keep myself safe by keeping everything out. But you know what? Consciousness has no borders. The mind is one thing, and we all happen to be in it. So, two choices, love or confusion. And the real confusion is this idea that I am anything other than God. The title of my talk today is Got It Covered. Got it covered. I got it covered. Do you feel like you've got it covered? Life, all of life, every aspect of your life, every leg, everything, you got it covered? Not so much. So it's the end of the year. I'm seeing all of the doctors that I see at the end of the year. just so they can all tell me how great and young I look and I'm healthy, and a few other things. And every time I've gone into the doctor's office over the last month, the first thing they say to me is, "Can I see your coverage?" I was like, well, it's a shirt, it's pants. "Can I see your coverage?" And then I will give it to them. I will give them my you all have these cards, right, your insurance cards, and they will say to me, "Thank you. Now I'm just going to check to see what's covered and what isn't. And then I'm going to let you know what is your part of the responsibility of being covered." And as I was sitting there one day in one of the doctor's office, I was like, "My God, this is like life. Consciousness. Am I covered? Do I know I'm covered? How much coverage do I think I have? Did I pay enough? Did I buy the best plan? Am I covered? And not only that, what's not covered? What of my life is not covered?" Many people think finances are not covered in their divine plan of being God. I am God, but when it comes to money, I don't know what happens. Right? Or I am God, but unfortunately, when it comes to the body and my health, something else, that's something else outside of me. No. So, got it covered. Gary's song, "Love Cover Me," it was such a revelation. When I first heard it, revelation. It was a revelation, but it was a revelation as well. When I first heard it, I stopped for a second. I was like, "Love cover me." Well, there's no such thing as love outside of myself that's going to cover over me. So what does this really mean? Love cover me. Well, it's the conscious, for me anyway, it's the conscious declaration that love has me covered. Because that's who I am. I am love. So love covers me, provided I'm willing to stay in the mindset of love. Where it seems to not cover me is when I step away and buy some awful health insurance policy that I don't even know what it's covering me, and I don't find out it doesn't cover me until I go to use it. And then it says, "Oh, you're not covered for that." Actually, you are covered for that, but there's a $17,000 deductible. Now think about this metaphorically. Where are you covered in you knowing who you are? Are you covered? Do you let love cover you by being what love is? By being love itself? Where are your transgressions? Where are the things in your life that you are still holding on to that is putting a wedge between you and being the very love energy that you are? What are you still holding on to? What grievances? What people are you still holding accountable for what they've done to you? Because no matter how you look at it, at this point, in this particular moment, the reason why we say forgive everything is because to the degree you are holding anyone accountable, you are forgetting that you are the only one that can be held accountable for the way your mind is acting in this moment. And so there's a lot of work to do, I think, for many of us to really, I loved what Mariana said, that she gets to a belief and then realizes it's backed into a belief she thought she healed many, many, many years ago. And yet it's still active. One of the great things about this teaching, we come from, the history of this teaching goes all the way back to the way we do it in New Thought. Anton Mesmer, the guy who came up with mesmerizing, who understood that there was a subjective element to the mind that hears what it hears, and whatever's impressed upon it manifests because we believe it. So what if we were really just spending the time, as Troward later says and as Ernest Holmes says, what if we really were just spending the time impressing our minds with just the truth that I am love, I am God, and no matter what shows up, I got it covered. I got it covered. So I will be honest with you and tell you that there were some things that showed up this week since December 1st when I said live as love. There were some things that showed up that I didn't feel very covered in. There were some instances. There was a person that came into this building this week with had nothing to do with the church or church business, but came into the building with such negativity that from my office, he came in the back of the building, from my office, a cold streak ran through me. I could feel it. And I stood up and I literally walked out to look down the hallway, and then I got the call. Connie called me and said, "Hi, so-and-so's here." I was like, "I know." And what proceeded from that moment was a deluge of negativity, darkness, energy that I have never in my life felt in this building. And because I don't ever feel anything like that in this building, it was really acute. And he was not cute. It was acute. So this person came through, and I had to be in a meeting with him for like a half an hour. And it's the quietest I've ever been, because I can talk. Until I just could take it no longer. And all of a sudden, I just took over and got him out of the building and said, here's what's going on, this is what it is, and thank you and goodbye. And got him out of the building. And when he left, I sat in my office and I was like, I live as love. Where did that go for the last 45 minutes? And I forgot that I was covered. I forgot that I was already covered and life was unfolding perfectly. And in that moment, I went, oh my God, probably one of the greatest teachers I've had this year. Which is also what you said, Mariana. I am covered. I got it covered. I, capital I. Not James Mellon. Not James Mellon from the fourth kingdom that is the consciousness of mankind, but I, meaning the James Mellon of the fifth kingdom that knows I am God. Greatness on demand. I got it covered. That in me, the love in me, love cover me. And now I have to just be willing to remember it when something like that shows up. And I've had other opportunities this week as well when things have showed up. But now, as soon as something shows up like that, I go, I live as love. How do I do this as love? How do I do this as love? And you know the best way to do it? Make sure whatever shows up, you back into yourself and say, I'm equal to whoever is standing in front of me, and I'm equal to whatever's being said. Now, get equal to a better conversation. Get equal to better relationships. Get equal to better richness and prosperity. Get equal to better health, a better, more vibrant body. Get equal to who you are. Because love does have me covered. Because there is an evolution of life that is constantly moving forward. Because your greatness is assured. It's not something you're working towards. Any of you that are working towards the day when you're going to stand in your greatness, you will never stand in your greatness. Because it will always be out here. And you'll always be walking towards it. And it will always stay equidistant from you. Until you literally say, I know who I am. I am love. I am success. I am prosperity. I am health. And until you can literally sit in the presence of an energy that doesn't know any of that and not take it personally, you haven't gotten who you are. And I have forgotten that a couple times this week. Briefly. Very briefly. One time, not so briefly. But briefly in the terms of how long it all takes to really resolve. Because within moments, the minute, I'm here to tell you, the minute you remember, it all just dissolves. It just goes away. So, how much insurance do you have? Are you covered 100%? And that means no deductibles. Because to me, deductible is just that uncertain time where you're still thinking it's up to you to pay for it. There's no deductible in this grand plan that God is inside of me. I am completely covered for anything that could possibly come my way. 100%. Love has not only covered me, but love is me. And it's who I am and it's what I am. So this month we get the opportunity to really stand in that. And as I came in here today, I was like, how do I want to talk about these couple of things that happened this week? Because I rarely tell you anything like that because it usually doesn't really register in my life. It happens and I go, ah, well. Or as my son always says, no big deal. But I knew if I could tell you this in this way, I know many of you can relate to this concept of forgetting in an instant, forgetting at this moment who you are, and forgetting that this is our theme this month. And I can tell you, I didn't know living as love was going to be as prominent as it has been in my own life. That means every moment, every conversation, every aspect of everything I do must come from love. I don't get the opportunity to come from anger, to come from resentment, to come from being hurt. Those things may show up, but when they show up, I got it covered. When anything shows up in your life, I'm here to tell you, you got it covered. You just have to uncover it and decide that's who you truly are. This whole journey that we're all taking together is really just our stepping into that fifth kingdom and understanding I am God is not a way to divide us from the rest of the world who has a problem with that. It's a way to live our life from a perspective of power, from a perspective of health, from a perspective of knowing who I am all the time, no matter what. And from there, life will literally transform right before your very eyes. Namaste.